So today is all about, well, who do we serve in terms of our business and the sort of framework around that. And I think it's really important that we understand that. So just type in the chat what you think the #1 mistake property entrepreneurs make is. If you can just ping that into the chat. Also, if you're going to be here, stick your videos on. You know, be present, just like if we're in a meeting. Concentrating on money, chasing the money, not educated. We think about money first. I will win, nothing of the landlord, overcommitting, overthinking, short term. If you just joined this, I just kind of asked you to pop in, you know, what the #1 mistake is you think that property entrepreneurs make. Short term, overthinking. Okay. In terms of marketing, what do you think it is? Not stacking a deal correctly, not taking action, not committing enough to marketing, not understanding who the customer is. Very good, Martin. Lack of knowledge, wrong avatar, correct. Not putting yourself out there, no exposure, not following through, not having a call to action or saying how we can solve their problem, not understanding various methods of marketing, procrastination, not doing any marketing, relying on customers to come through, to come by your website. Sitting and waiting. And same with service accommodation, you sit and wait for your Airbnb or your booking.com ting to go on your phone. And, you know, you're just totally relying on them as opposed to going out there and getting it. So for me, I think the biggest problem is we don't treat the right people in the manner that we should. So what I mean by that is we don't treat landlords, investors, estate agents, guests and tenants as clients. And we quite often, and I've probably been, I've probably fallen foul to this myself in the past until I kind of figured it out. But, you know, we're quite easy to jump down and say how shit estate agents are. And don't get me wrong, most of them are, let's be honest about it. But there are some really good ones out there. And I think when you start changing your mindset about who your client is, you know, if we worked in a different industry, we wouldn't be saying that our clients were, you know, shite at their jobs or shite, or they'd never get back to us, or, you know, they've pissed us off because they've stood us up on another viewing again or whatever. And, you know, and I've been there, you know, I've had the frustration going through and it happens. And there are some really bad estate agents out there, but there are also some really good ones. And I think same with landlords, and someone did touch base on it in the comments there, is, you know, you don't think of the win for them. Too many people think of the win for you or for us. And the minute you start changing your mindset around who you actually serve, who your client is, and who you're going to create a win for, first and foremost, I would rather create a 60 or 70% win for an investor or a landlord, and I'll take 40 or 30% than not have anything at all. And far too many people want 80, 90% in their way, and they want the landlord or the investor or the estate agent even to have a shit deal. Like, why do you think a lot of estate agents don't entertain rent to rent? Just answer that in the chat. Just why do you think estate agents don't entertain rent to rent? Don't understand it, poor comprehension of legals, bad precarious experience with greedy people, don't understand it, not much in it for them. They think they will not be in the loop. subletting worry. It's not subletting if you do it properly on the right agreement. They think they'll lose the management fee. Yeah, I mean, Gary, you've nailed it. And then someone, you know, there's not much in it for them. Estate agencies the value of an estate agent is worth what their recurring income is, not how many properties for sale they've got, and not how many properties they've got on their books unrented. It's their recurring income from their management fees. That is the valuation of an estate agency. That's where if someone was wanting to sell their business would only be worth a multiple of about 13 times of their rental value, their recurring income value. So if they're going to offload a rental property that they might not see for 5 years and they're definitely not going to get a drip from, then they're effectively not only reducing that profitability from, you know, tenant finders fees and the turns over those couple of years, but they're also not going to be getting that recurring income coming in, which also affects their book value. And a lot of people don't understand that. So they just think that they don't understand it. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the estate agents on the lower levels in the estate agents, so like maybe just a standard lettings negotiator, they probably might not understand rent to rent. They might not understand the legal side of it. And therefore, but really, like if I had an estate agency, I would be saying to my staff, we don't do rent to rent because it knocks value off my company. So that would be a reason, unless someone came to me with a proposal that was a win for the estate agent as well. And, you know, you've got to be able to always be thinking of like, how can you create a win for the middleman if you're going to go by the estate agents? You know, if you're not going direct to vendor or direct to landlord, how can you create a win for the agency? You know, I bet you bottom dollar, if we all picked the phone up tomorrow and rang an estate agent and said, you know, I do, you know, the usual pitch, you know, corporate lets, whatever your pitch is, but I'm going to pay you £1,000 a month retainer whilst I've got that property. I bet you bottom dollar that all those estate agents would understand rent to rent. You agree? Yeah. So it's about solving the problem as opposed to thinking about what we're doing all the time. And for me, that is one of the biggest things. We don't treat our end client like a client. We see estate agents as a means to an end, as opposed to actually a partner, or even better, a client that's going to give us money. You know, same with landlords. You know, some of us just want the property and then we don't really want anything to do with them, rather than nurturing the relationship with them. So start just kind of like reframing your mind about how we can penetrate different avenues and what they're thinking about the situation. So flip it on yourself always. So if you were getting your pitch, whatever your pitch is, then would you say yes or no to that? Or what questions would you have to that? How would that affect your business if you were the business and you were the other side getting pitched? And I always like to do that. And then you answer your own questions back, and then you know what problems to solve. So, and also I think one of the other things is the time and effort factor versus the quick win. So a lot of people, everyone wants the quick win. Everyone wants to build a portfolio as quick as they possibly can. And there are ways to do that. You know, there's always the quick win strategies that you can implement. You know, you can pick up a handful of properties, no problem at all. You know, just quick wins. But not many people are prepared to play the time and effort game. So the time and effort of, you know, I put probably 9-10 months worth of work into one estate agent before I saw any deals. But now I've got a great source of deals coming through. But obviously I was still doing the quick win stuff along the way, because I wasn't just sitting there waiting for 9 months for them to start giving me deals. You've got to kind of mix it all up. But quite a lot of people aren't prepared to play the long game, and they just are constantly looking for the quick win. And for me, doing it that way is a bit like deal sourcing all the time. You've always got to be out there looking for your next deal, rather than your pipeline just naturally building, you know, your recurring income just naturally building. And, you know, just think of your recurring income with like estate agents as like points or so you want to be just building the points up with them. That could just be a phone call every week to them. It could be just checking in with them all the time, you know, whatever it might be. And it's the same with landlords as well, especially portfolio landlords. So always be kind of just playing the long game beneath the surface of obviously playing the quick win game as well. So it's just something I wanted to touch on early on, because we talked a lot about marketing yesterday and setting things up. And whilst we're gonna go on to marketing a bit tonight, I want to talk about building your brand. And I like to think that my brand is one where we're easy to work with, we're efficient in what we do, we respond quickly, and we serve the client, whoever the client is. We serve the client with their needs first, and then we're second. But by putting it that way, I feel like you get a lot more business, you get a lot more people wanting to work with you, and you get a lot more people wanting to give you deals. I always commit to everything. If I commit to buying a property, I'll buy a property. Even if later on I find out there's something wrong with it, I'll go ahead and I'll buy it, because you lose credibility. And over time, estate agents want to work with us because they know we'll deliver. They'll get paid their commission. It's not going to fall through. And, we're a safe bet. So, and that goes the same with rental deals. It goes the same with, acquisitions. So always commit to whatever you say you're going to do. And if you shake a hand on something or you sign an agreement on something, just make sure you follow it through, because it'll stand you in good stead. So play the long game with your brand. We talked about some sort of setup strategies yesterday to get some, people visibilities and things like that. But the long game with your brand is going to get you in, say, your 5-year target. It's going to get you to your 5-year target a lot quicker than just playing the quick wins all the time. So you got to kind of play it in the background, but it probably only takes anywhere from, I would say, 6 to 18 months, depending on how aggressive you go with it, as to how much traction it will start taking. And then it doesn't become easy, but you start getting people chucking leads at you all the time. You get people start coming to you and, knocking on your door. I see you do X, Y, and Z. I want to work with you. I like the value that you've been putting out there. We spoke a lot about value last night. So, and for me, I'll come back to it time and time again. There is one major source of opportunity amongst us all right now to find deals. What does everyone think that one major source is? Just pop it in the chat. COVID. I think they're going to backtrack on COVID. The R rate's gone down. Just pop in the chat what you think the number one major source of opportunity is right now to what you've got. Houses from student lets not selling and desperate landlords. Social media, network, property falling through sales. Yeah, there's a lot of sales falling through. People being made redundant, networking. Uncertainty, B&B opportunities, tired fed up landlords through volatile market. You see, everyone, with the landlord thing, like obviously I'm a landlord as well, technically. I don't speak to many tenants, but we've got no problem with our portfolio. So like, I've got a couple, but that's in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing, So I think this misconception that this is having massive effects on people. Even if lockdown does happen in a few days' time, most people are 80% furlough, so like they're still going to be getting paid. Yeah, some good answers. People not traveling, marketing. For me, it's Facebook. Like everything you need to get to 100 properties is on Facebook. There's so many different avenues now on Facebook. And I think something like 1 in 3 people are connected on Facebook, or you're connected to everybody in the world by the third person or something daft like that. So Facebook leveraged right in the right channels, doing it right with the right value, the right brand, gets you all the attention you need to be able to get the results that you want. You just got to execute properly, and you got to be committed to executing every single day on it, because Facebook moves quicker than anything as well. So, you post something, and depending on what group you're in or who's in your feed or whatever, it's down, it's gone within 24 hours. max. Sometimes it can be quicker. So you've got to be able to make sure that you're engaging people in your content to be able to then have conversations with them and ultimately lead to results, which obviously for us is acquisitions. So when you play the long game, when you play the long game, your clients will engage when they're good and ready. And that's a much better lead for you than when you're trying to like force something on them. Don't get me wrong. Like, we always need to be doing the quick strategy stuff to get deals on. We can't just sit and wait for all this. But today is all about building a brand for sort of maximum impact over the medium to long term. We talked about Nike last night. They built a brand. They never pitched. They don't have to, because they built a brand. And that brand, people got the message and they resonate with it. And when people are good and ready, they'll go and buy Nike. They'll pay the extra money for it. They'll go and pay it. So you've got to play the long game with your brand. So first and foremost, write out what you think your brand is. Like, what is your brand? What does it represent? Because everyone's brand's different and we all operate in different sectors. So, you might just be a rent-to-rent HMO specialist. And if that's all you want to do, then that's great. But what does your brand, and it's not really about your company name. It's about what does your brand ooze out. If you were to meet somebody, what would you want to tell them about your brand? And how would you want your brand to be presented? And then that needs to follow through all of your marketing activity, including your branding. People say this all the time, and until you start nailing it down, even just like your color schemes and the way you do videos or the way you present yourself, and that will change slightly over time, but it should have a theme rather than just a scattergun approach. I know I've seen quite a few of the banners people have been putting up since last night, and you can see quite a lot of you have used the same sort of thing from Canva, which is fine. Obviously, it's better than probably what was there, but really, that's not your brand. That doesn't represent you. You've just kind of pulled an image off and made it look a bit good. But over time, you want to make sure that brand becomes you, and that everything gets portrayed by your brand. Does this all make sense? Just type one in the chat. Yeah, cool. But it's hard to it is hard to play the long game, because everyone wants the quick wins and everyone wants the instant cash. Most people are getting into property because they want to have that, financial freedom, or they want to leave their job, or whatever it might be. They might just want to, that extra revenue stream coming in. So, and they want it as quick as possible, because they know that when they get to that side, this world is definitely, the grass is greener, than the other world. Most people tell you, you always say, oh, you're leaving your job and the grass isn't green on the other side. Well, let me tell you, like, this is greener. So, and people want that as quick as they possibly can. And that's why they always like focus on the quick win stuff all the time and just totally disregard the branding. They just totally disregard that. And then ultimately they get 6 months, 8 months down the line. And what tends to happen is they've acquired a few properties, a bit like, quite a few of the people that I've worked with for quite some time on the programs. They get to a point where they've pretty much they have maxed out a bit. Then they're not getting the top, what I call like the bonus deals coming in from your branding. So, you're always doing the quick win stuff, but then the bonus deals come in from your branding, and that's when your portfolio just starts to scale. It's good to get a phone call, and, I had one a couple of weeks ago. It's like, I've been passed your number. I'll see what you do with service accommodation. I've got 5 properties. Do you want them? Like, that's just like that. They're the bonus stuff that just comes into your brand because of the branding that you've done, because of all the marketing you've done, because of all the attention that your brand's got. So, by doing that, you get yourself out there and it starts to make a big impact, but it's not going to do it tomorrow. You're not going to have an impact you might get a quick win from it, but more than likely, you're not just going to, in the next 30 days, pick up 20 properties because you've decided that your brand represents X, Y, and Z. And then, and then you're putting it out there. So just type in the chat what your brand represents. And if you don't know, just put don't know, and that's absolutely fine as well, because, I'd rather you don't know, but if you don't know. Honesty and easy to talk to, don't know yet. That's fine, cool. Quality, professionalism, credibility and good service, integrity, solving property problems, helping out landlords, honesty, integrity. Okay, cool. Tenants and landlords, cool. Cool. How many of you, and just put your hands up, really feel like you're actually connected to your message on your brand, or whether you're just saying that because it sounds good? And be honest with yourself. Getting there. Half. That's fine. Honestly, it's fine. These are things that, and your brand might change as well. Your messaging might change. So, but I think one thing that does go a long way in this game is definitely honesty, integrity, and building relationships. And most of you, if you've been dabbling out there already, you will understand that, because that is, property is a people's game. I say this quite a lot, and I don't think it's got anything really to do with the bricks and mortar. I think property is a people's game, especially the rent-to-rent side of things. Below market value stuff, probably to an extent, a people's game, in the fact that if you can get in with the value of an estate agent, they'll be, flashing your text saying, "Listen, we've got this cracking property, come on, you need to get out and see it." But in terms of rent-to-rent, I definitely think that it's just a pure relationship game. And the greater the relationship, the more you build it, the more property you'll get over time. So, it's really important that we focus on that. And I want you to really think about it tonight, and think about your brand and your alignment, and then part of your homework task is going to be this as well. But just really start to think how you can build your brand out over the next 6 months. Don't put a 30-day plan together. Like, how can you build your brand out over the next 6 months? Like, what steps are you going to take? Who are you going to reach out to? Who do you want to be connected with? Who do you want to network with? So that there's certain companies that I won't deal with, even though they'll create probably financial gain for me, because I don't like what they do as a company. I don't want them to affect my brand, so it's not worth it for me for the time, the profit. It doesn't matter how much it is. In the long run, I do not want that tarnishing my brand. So, and when you get to that point, you start realizing how important your brand is to scaling even further and making sure that you can constantly be making good moves. Okay, so I mentioned it last night, and I'm going to touch base on this again today because I think it's really important. But when you're in groups, and it's funny because one of my other groups that I've got, and I can't just let anything go. I must have had 6 posts today, which are just exactly this. And when you're in groups, like, you've got to stop pitching people. Honestly, just try it for 30 days. Just try not pitching anything. Try and post 30 days straight. This isn't your homework assignment, by the way. Just post 30 days straight and just post value every single day, and just see how much more traction you get from it, as opposed to, who's got rent-to-rent deals, or has anyone got any properties in this location? Or my favorite of all time is, has anybody got any portfolios of rent-to-rents they want to offload? I mean, like, why would I just, how many people have actually acquired deals from that? It's like, why would someone offload a portfolio of successful rent-to-rent deals? Well, they just wouldn't. If someone's offloading a portfolio of rent-to-rent deals, it's because they're not working. So why would you want to take them on? So for me, that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you post that in a group first and foremost? But like, and then what are you going to do if you get this portfolio that's clearly not working for somebody else? Like, obviously they must have like a magic wand and be able to like make it work. But so start asking good questions in groups to get yourself attention. You know, don't really focus on, and then engage in the groups as well and add value, and go into the groups and add value in the comments. So, but this isn't time wasting. This is just giving your 2 pennies worth and then coming back out. Maybe 10, 15 minutes a day. Just give you 2 pennies worth, come back out. Drop a question in the group on a morning, whatever time, go back in at 4 p.m, reply to all the comments. Just getting engaging. And then what's going to happen? They're going to take a little quick peek at your profile. We've set our banners up quite nicely. We've got our flow pages in there. All of a sudden, they're into your world. And that's all we're trying to do with these strategies, is just slowly but surely, you know, every 30 days solid. If you do it, a habit's created every 21 days. So if you repeat something for 21 days, it'll be ingrained as a habit. So 30 days, you're going to ingrain this as a habit. More than likely, it'll lead to 60 days, 90 days, 12 months from now, you'll still be doing the same and you'll still be getting great results from it. But not once have you called out somebody and basically said, you know, pitch, pitch, pitch. You know, I did probably the first pitch I've done in a very long time the other day, but it was because I was fucked off with this deal sourcer that's shafting people, and I have had too many cry for helps to help people out about it. So I just basically put a pitch out. It was a video explaining how I'd helped people and that if anyone needed my help, I'm here. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was massive like pitch. It was just, it was genuinely from the bottom of my heart. Like, if you're in this situation, I'm here to help, because it's just pissing me off that these scammers can get away with shit time and time again. But that's a different story for another night. So, any questions so far? Let's ping them in the chat. So, hold on. Come to that. How would you say that COVID is going to affect the SA space? Personally, I think COVID has affected the SA space since March. You know, weekend bookings haven't been what they have been. We had a glimmer of hope during probably July and August, I think, where everyone absolutely killed it. I know we had one of probably the best July and August we've had. So that, I think, was the exception to the tourism side of things. I think that the touristy sort of locations might have died down a bit. Obviously, the next 4 weeks isn't going to help. But if you were registered properly for SA, then you should have been able to get some grants. And potentially going forward, you're going to be able to get a monthly grant if you're on business rates. But I'm assuming more will come out tomorrow night on that. But I'm all about corporates for SA and contractors. And I think the majority of people that I speak to are connected to a city where that strategy can play out. So, you know, you should be able to find that type of SA setup. And for me, I quite quickly discovered that it's not about the tourist locations. And I thought when I first got in, I was like, oh, I need a quayside riverfront apartment. That's the only way this can work. You know, like, who the hell would go to fucking Sunderland on a holiday? Why would you want service accommodation there? You know, and then, you know, and then you quickly realize that it's not the people going on holiday where the money is. So I personally don't think COVID's going to affect that side of the SA business. And I think the tourist side's already pretty much been a bit affected. So if you are operating in the tourist space, you might want to just prepare a bit better. Maybe see what you can do to get contractor stuff in. But really every single one of us working on SA, I would say, is in a contractor location. And it's just a case of switching your avatar. I'm going to come onto your avatar. I think it's tomorrow night on night 4. But you've got to you've got to react to the market. I do think I personally don't see this lockdown affecting accommodation as much as we think. I know last time, March 23rd, I think I had it was something like 471 bookings cancel within about a 2-week period. So and I am a bit sad, and I still leave the booking.com and all the apps on my phone so I can check when bookings are pinging in, even though I don't really get involved in the operations. But I this time around, Saturday night, I was kind of sat there expecting the pinging to go, the cancellations, but I've hardly had any. So I think that in itself is a sign that this lockdown might not be taken as seriously as the first lockdown, and people are still going to travel, especially businesses, and we're geared up for businesses. So that's where we make our money, and the tourist stuff is the cream on the icing and cake, which at the minute we just haven't got, but we're still making profit, so that's fine. And then when that comes back, that comes back. You know, at the end of the day, and I keep hearing this like, oh, well, I don't think I'll do anything until January, or I don't think I should start my SA venture until like March next year or whatever. But like, are you getting into this for the next few months, or are you getting into this for the next 20, 30 years? Because there's a big difference. And if you're getting into it for the next 20, 30 years, I guarantee you right now there's going to be another COVID. Maybe not a virus, but there could be another 2008 financial crash, or there's going to be another situation where things aren't going to be all rosy and you're going to have to figure your way through it. So if you've got the opportunity to take a property on, you know how hard it is to find deals. We're all out there trying to get them. If you get the opportunity to take a property and you have a small frame, you know, you're talking a month. I think Christmas is going to be booming. I think pre-Christmas week and during the Boxing Day to New Year's Eve is going to be booming. I honestly don't think whatever Boris Johnson says about Christmas is going to stop people moving around at Christmas. But the benefit of having serviced accommodation set up for Christmas is people might actually not stay in other people's houses like they used to. You know, we're not going to stay in mum and dad's spare room. We're not going to stay in aunt and uncle's spare room. So SA is going to be busy because people are going to need accommodation, but they're going to, you know, no one's been on holiday. No one's spending any money. People are going to pay to stay. So, and they're going to be near their friends and their family around Christmas. So for me, I'm expecting, I hiked all my rates the other night. I put a 200% increase on all the rates pre-Christmas week, leading up to New Year's Eve. And I still think New Year's Eve will be busy. I think we'll probably have a lot of house parties, but so be it. And, you know, I think as long as you've got your rates right, you should be collecting some good money. So December, I think, is going to be a bit like July was after lockdown happened, ended last time, where we kind of petered through June and then everyone kind of started moving again in July. So I think that's going to happen in December. And I think we'll have we'll have a better December this year from 2 weeks of operating, maybe 3 weeks of operating than we will last December with no COVID. And then I think next year, depending on what happens with lockdowns and stuff, but I think it's become apparent that they've realized they can't keep locking people up. So they can't stop people. They're trying to do it by shutting the bars and the restaurants down. But in terms of businesses moving about, and my business model, my service accommodation model is business travel. So again, that's my avatar. So think about who you're going after when you're hunting your service accommodation deals. Think about your locations when you're going for your service accommodation deals. And so for me, I'm not that bothered about what's going to happen over the next 4 weeks, because we're still getting bookings, we're still getting them come in, and we're still getting people traveling. And as far as I'm aware, that's allowed. So we have such a huge database of contractors at our disposal. There you go. Happy days. Start selling them. You'll make some money off them. Any more questions before I set you your homework task? Just type them in the chat if you have. Who wants to win the mentorship, by the way? Hands up. Happy days. Is now a good time to look into property as a beginner novice? Yes. Always a good time to get involved in it. Do you know what? I think if you can build a business through COVID, you're going to have a pretty fucking good business when the time this is over. And, you know, the day when Boris says, hey, just everyone go back to normal. So, you know, if you can meander your way through it, and it's possible, you know, get good deals, then yeah, I mean, there's never, if you're always waiting for that right time to do something, you're going to never do it. The right time to do something is right now. You cannot predict what's going to happen. Like in January, did anyone predict COVID? No. So like, you cannot predict what's going to happen. Yes, you've got to take educated risks, and you've got to minimize the risk as best as you can, but you cannot time everything. You know, last year people were saying they weren't buying property because Brexit was going to knock 30% off house prices. I mean, fuck me. Like, the house prices went up 2% because of Brexit. So there was a 32% swing on what they thought because some newspaper told them that, you know, Brexit was going to wipe 30% off. You're like, who's the mug? They've sat on the sidelines for 12 months whilst, you know, all of the proper property investors have been sweeping up below market value deals and adding more net wealth and more cash flow into their lives because of, you know, so now is the right time in answer to your question. Because if you don't do it now, one of the biggest things that I've spotted from all the coaching that I'm doing is those that I speak to and take action straight away are the ones that get the best results. So the ones that, not the ones that go, oh, I need to think about it, or I need to speak to someone. So those that just say, right, I'm in, let's do it. Sign me up, let's go. They are the ones that get the best results because they're committed as individuals. They're willing to double down on themselves. They don't overanalyze stuff and talk themselves out of it. They know that I need to do something, I need the help, and let's go. And they're always the ones that get 5-8 deals, you know, in their books straight away. They're finding, you know, within the first couple of weeks, they're in, I've got my first deal, you know, I've got my first deal. How do we set it up? What's next? How do I go and get another one? You know, and it's because they're just so sure of just, let's just go and do it. They take action. You know, and as I said last night, imperfect action is better than no action. Right, let's answer some more of these great questions. Why do you hear of so many bad deal sources? What's the best way to avoid them? Don't fucking buy a deal off a rent-to-rent deal sourcer. That is the best way to avoid them. Put it this way, right? And I've had these time and time again across my desk. So, 2-bed flat in Newcastle makes 4,000 gross revenue a month, apparently. You speak the deal source. Have you ever been to Newcastle? No, I've not been to Newcastle. All right, okay. So how have you got your figures? Oh, well, I looked on Airbnb and I went on the highest average night of the property I could find and I times it by 25 nights and I got it. All right, okay, fair enough. And you're saying this is going to make me £3,000 a month net cash flow, which is 36 grand a year. Yeah, okay, right. And you want a £3,000 sourcing fee, and this is a 3-year contract. So you're saying you're going to swap over £100,000 for a 3 grand sourcing fee? I mean, like, fuck me. It's a good business plan, that. So that is why you shouldn't trust deal sources who do rent to rent, because, and you get the excuses. We don't do operations. I find that many deals that I can't take them all on myself, or I haven't got the capital to start it up. You're telling me it's only £1,000 deposit. Like, you can stick that on a credit card. You know, you can find £1,000. So, and it really annoys me because they're preying on inexperienced property investors. And everyone says, oh, well, they should do their due diligence. And I agree to that to an extent. But at the same time, it's still not morally right that you're trying to take advantage of someone with no knowledge. And that's why I have such a strong opinion on it. Below market value deal sources, I have a lot of time for, because they do a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes to put together a proper below market value deal. And the good ones will factor their fee into the price, and you will still get your money out of the deal. And I'm quite happy to pay for them. You know, if someone comes to me and says, I've got a property, you're going to land 25 grand worth of equity once you refinance, it's going to leave 5 grand in the deal, but I've factored they could put a 30 grand fee in there. I'm not bothered, as long as the number works for me. But the ones that, and I always call them out when they put the deals on the groups, again, pitching, absolutely no value, just boom, I've got this deal, who wants to buy it off us? No value added at all. And then they say, and then I always comment, does the, so they're like, 16% BMV, all right, on a 60 grand property. And I'm like, have you got your fee in there? No, I haven't put my fee in there. So your 3 grand fee now takes it to about an 8% BMV deal. Well, you can walk into estate agents tomorrow and get an 8% BMV deal. So, but there are some really good below market value, like proper equity deal sources. And I think there's a big difference. And I think, unfortunately, there's too many people just thinking there's a quick buck to be made on the rent-to-rent stuff and scamming people. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, and I'm quite happy to be questioned on it. I'm quite happy to be put to rights, but every deal I've seen across my desk so far, I've not invested in. And if they were good rent-to-rent deals and they all stacked, well, why wouldn't I invest in them? Because I've got the capital, I've got the experience, and I've got the operation. So if I'm going to earn £36,000 a year, well, why wouldn't I do that? And it's because they don't stack, and they're just a load of bollocks. So, sorry, going off tangent a bit there. You've got me on one of my real things that piss me off. So, I started my own business in June. Anyone else here a beginner out of curiosity? If you're brand new to property, put your hands up if you've got no property on your books yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Is that my 8 months in? Been on over in years. Recently changed strategy to SA, relatively new. I'm sorry, I'm just, I wasn't getting at anybody. I love you all. Feel free to add me on Facebook from the room. How do you work out the figures? How do you work out the figures on an SA deal from rent, ongoing costs, ODA costs, profit, and nightly rate charge? That's not a 10-minute conversation. There's quite a lot involved in that, so we'll leave that for tonight. A deal looked at today works amazingly, apart from the 3 grand sourcing fee. Puts it too high. I mean, yeah. Listen, a wise man once said, teach yourself to fish and you can fish for life. And that's all you got to do. Just learn the basics on how to find deals. And then you don't need deal sources. You can create time. Everybody can create time. And then you'll find the deals. And then you don't need deal sources. So, I can't remember the last time I bought a deal off a deal sourcer. Several years ago, if not longer than that. And I've only ever bought one below market value deal, which turned out all right. It wasn't great, but it was all right and served the purpose. So, right, let's get cracking with some homework. So thank you very much for your efforts last night, and some great houses on there. We all sort of seem to have the same vibes and the same aspirations, which is great. There's a lot of abroad villas on there, which I don't know whether it's just because we've been locked in this country for too long. But that's definitely where I see one of my next purchases is abroad. So thanks for that. And thanks for anybody who was engaging with the group. And I know there's been a lot of people posting the reviews on the review page, which is great. So all bonus points being added up there for you guys as well. So tonight's homework, I'll just share my screen quick, is in the group, in the 7-Figure Property Empire group. I just want you to, under the homework post that should hit there in about 9 minutes time, I want you to just a decent, have a think about it. Don't just write a one-word answer. You know, what's the biggest obstacle in the way right now that'll prevent you from achieving your dream business? You know, so this brand that we're talking about that represents you and, you know, all the good stuff that we were talking about. What do you feel like the biggest obstacle right now is in achieving that dream business? So just go into the group. There will be a post up there. I think it goes about 7 o'clock, and then just stick it in the comments, and I shall see you all back here for day number 3 tomorrow. I might give you a bit of an idea of who's in the running tomorrow. Maybe not. So see how I feel. Sorry, I thought this question popped through there. Everyone clear on that? Yeah, cool. All right, awesome, guys. I'll speak to you later on, and I'll see you tomorrow night.